We have heard many interesting papers yesterday and today, and you have been a very interesting audience, an interested audience. And we have proposed several questions in the program, as you see, and we have tried to answer some of them throughout our presentations, but now we have time to discuss, all of us. And we really would like, as Lena said in the morning, to hear a little bit more of what you have been thinking and knowing and your ideas about these issues. So actually now Eva has, should we put it on a slideshow so we can see it?
Do you want I show everything now?
No, just this picture.
This is...
Yeah. And if you take it on the slideshow, I was just a little bit bigger.
So then I cannot write.
Yeah, I see. Okay. Yeah. You are clever. So the first two questions actually are what you see here. Is there a need to improve communication ergonomic conditions? And how should that be improved? How to improve communication ergonomic conditions? Do you understand the questions? And we would like now, if you could, just sit around and discuss a little bit with the neighbors you are close to. For example, the four of you here, and 4 or 5 in this group, and 4 or 5 in the back, and you have one group there. And 5 minutes just to brainstorm a little bit, and then we can hear a little bit from each group. And of course, this is from your perspective, and you are from different areas, which is interesting.
Didn't look too surprised.
What?
It didn't look too surprised.
Huh?
Very nice.
Yeah.
No need. Now we have a brainstorm.
Now we have a brainstorm.
Yes.
Can need.
Is
No,
there-
there is
No.
no need.
No, everything is perfect, isn't it? No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there are so few groups, you could even ask
Everyone. Yeah. Yes. No, every group. Do you think that some will speak in Icelandic? No, everybody could speak in now.
Because they have been here in Finland. One possibility is that, for instance, all this translation, because it's nice that if they are comfortable when they speak. Yes.
About this, if someone will talk in Icelandic, can you translate? If so, we try to do it in English.
I try to find here a person that must English. I know.
Okay.
Do that.
Yeah.
I may want to.
No? But maybe that's not better if it works in English, though. There's one group not speaking at all. There is one group that is not discussing.
At the back, they are discussing.
Yeah, okay, good. I thought they were. I use it all the time in the teaching. You know. And it's enough? You think it's enough?
Maybe 1 minute still.
I think I start up there and go down. I think I start in that corner. Do you want a little bit more time, or do you think we have
I think it's enough.
enough? Yes. So, everybody, I think you have started to discuss, and maybe you want to finish. But can we go around and just pick up a few things from each group that you have been thinking of? What did you talk about here in this group?
We just talked about circumstances in play schools.
Can we keep circumstances in? Is this on?
In the play school.
No, not at
Hello,
all.
hello, hello. Is this on?
Yes, you have to put it close. Are you from the preschool environment? You?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
The four of you. And what?
We was just discussing the circumstances in their play school.
Yeah.
And they were talking about some things they wanted to do to improve it.
Yeah.
Probably.
So there is a need. You find a need to do it. And what did you have? You any suggestions for the to change?
Oh, we weren't there yet.
No, you are not there yet. Okay. No. Okay. Thank you very, very much. And I think I put this to your group over there.
Hello. We are one primary school teacher and one preschool teacher and one member from the teachers union. So the answer to the first question is, of course, yes. There is a need. We had some ideas about fewer children per teacher, of course, as we discussed a lot yesterday, and more education to teachers and the ones who are learning to be teachers about all those things, about the how far your voice reaches and so on. And we also wanted to make parents and politicians more aware of what influence this noise and the voice ergonomy has for the study of the pupils. And also, for example, yesterday we heard a story about when parents come to pick up their children at the preschool, they say to the teachers, wow, this is really a lot of noise and I can't understand how you can tolerate this. To make them aware this is perhaps something that lasts the whole day, and this is also the environment their children are in. So.
Thank you very much. And as you see, we try to write down some of the suggestions you come up with. And can I ask this group?
I'm not from the schools. I come from I'm a doctor. Come from the hospital. But but yesterday I invited the friends to smá veisla at Heiti in grillmarkaðurinn, central Reykjavík. We had a convenient part of the restaurant with a bamboo wall. We were a little bit in a peace, I hoped, so that we could talk. We ate and we drank and we tried to discuss. All the time there was a music somewhere up here in the wall, and I asked the waiter, please, can we tune it down or even turn it off? And he went away and talked to someone else, and he came back. Sorry, we have to have this all the time. So my question is, where do we go next? Do we try to rank the restaurants and avoid the worst ones, or do we just keep on as we are doing now?
There are 3 of us from the preschool here, and we said, of course, yes, there is much need to change things, and I think it's number 1, 2, and 3. It has to be an awareness in the society. We have to let more people know, like everybody is saying, the parents, and maybe it starts with changing the laws and the laws. But I think it is the awareness, and I don't think it's a compliment. I don't take it as a compliment when parents say, well, how can you work in this area? You're really heroes here in the preschool. I just like to put a bag over my head and, my God, no, it isn't. This isn't a compliment. No. This is just being the preschool director. I just feel terrible when people say that, and if they say that.
My name is Erna, and I'm a preschool teacher, and I'm also a parent of a hearing impaired child, and he's in primary school. And every fall he changes the room, and every fall I have to begin. You have to put something under the chair. You have to put curtains for the window. And now it's 2 months since the school starts, and I'm going to have a meeting on Tuesday. With the principal to talk about this again. And every day my son comes home from the school, he's tired in his head, he's angry, and I think, like Jónína said, it must be more awareness in the society. I'm really sad because I always have to start every fall on the same thing to have. I'm not very good in English.
No, that's fine. Yes.
Yes, yeah. It's a little understanding from the people who are directing.
Thank you very much. We go further here.
In my group, we have members from the Ombudsman for Children, the Association of the Hard of Hearing, from preschool, right? And Katrin is from the Environmental Agency. Yes. Yes. And our conclusion is, yes, there is great need to improve this issue. Of course, it's a question of culture. You know, we have noise everywhere now, and music, and whatever. Children are listening to music all the time, and we can't go to a fashion shop without, really, getting annoyed from all the music. We talked about that there is great need to have some sort of requirements of a maximum. How many children one teacher or one teacher can teach or take care of in a classroom or in a group in the schools, both in all ages. And of course, we believe that children should have at least the same protection as adults, by law and the regulations. And we should not be looking at how much noise they can tolerate without being damaging their hearing, but how much noise they can tolerate. I mean, they should be able to listen, and hear the words of the teacher, and understand what the teacher is saying, and being able to
be comfortable.
Be comfortable, and not be in stressful situation, the whole day, because they have no choice. They have to be in school, for these 180 days per year, and there's no, they don't have a choice. This is their workplace, and they should get equal protection at least. Yeah. And when they're measuring noise levels and all this, they should be doing it on children, and in their height levels. Yeah. Yes, that's it. I think.
Thank you very much for many good thoughts, and we have one more group here.
We were talking about first time when they started banning smoking around places. This is the same. We want the same. First it was taboo talking about it's not allowed to smoke here. Now it's okay. Everybody's okay with it. We want that with the noise. It's taboo now to talk about it. We want it to be okay. We want the people, the public, to be aware of this, like they've said before. And the definition of what is noise. Like many preschool teachers, they are taught themselves to ignore the noise. I have. But then when somebody's pointing it out, it's like, oh, hi, headache. So we have to also be helping our teachers to be aware when the noise is. Maybe that is what is making them so tired when they come home.
Under the words, talking is silver, silence is gold. We must teach the youth just this. That's very important. A few decades ago, my worst enemy was second-hand smoking, and I thought it was a horrible enemy. But now it is almost dead.
Yeah.
Almost. Thanks God. But and now this environmental noise is a horrible enemy.
The children that have grown up in the preschools is now around 20, 30 years old, and they is used to have a noise around them all the time. And they listen to music, they are reading, they are looking at the TV all at the same time. And they don't really respond on the noise in the same way as grown. Yes. Response on the silence, but not on the noise. So maybe we was talking about it's maybe will have effect on the hearing, and when they losing their hear, then it will be done something when they have more. I don't know.
Maybe we are looking at this enemy as a very difficult one. But we should remember that a long journey begins with one step.
Yeah.
And we never give up.
Okay, thank you very, very much for all this. And I know that also I'm very thankful that you talked English, and I know that that's not your primary language, so thank you for that. I was just thinking of the first group that hadn't been come up, but I would like to say that the preschools teachers that I have met over the years are very, very creative of finding solutions in a very, very nice way. For example, the campaign Get Rid of the Noise we had in Sweden, the preschool teachers really came up with a lot of very, very nice solutions. So you continue to work on that. And then I would like to say something to you about the noise levels on the in the bar and restaurant. We have one very famous voice researcher. His name is Ingo Tietze. He works in the States, and he has written a very, very interesting and good, it's called The Criteria of Voice something. It was published in 1999. It is about, he's very personal, so he has decided to, every time he goes to a restaurant, he points out that the noise, that the music is too high. And I do the same. I always say something, and you were not successful this time, but maybe at another restaurant you can ask for that. And if we all start doing that, that could be one thing. So, thank you very much. And now I will leave to the panel if you want to comment. We have answered some of these questions before, but does anyone want to comment on what we heard from the audience? And Valdis?
Because I have been studying this quite a lot. I thought very much about this. What I am fearing, and I agree with you, Fredrik, this enemy, what is the minus? The negative is it doesn't cause pain. It's annoying. It gives you headache, yes. But for example, voice problems, they are without pain. And the hearing gradually goes away without maybe you noticing it. But what I am urging for is that we try to change, because I think we have accepted the noise as such. It's a culture. And if a generation is now growing up that is used to noise, then of course they will proceed or keep on going with noise. There are people that are so afraid of silence that they panic. And if we are growing such generation up, then we can just accept the noise as something that has to be there. And that is what I want this conference to be the start of, to fight this enemy. But first and last, I think it's a culture. We have to change. Also, I want to comment here while I have the opportunity. I, as a voice expert, I'm a teacher. I'm a former teacher. And so I'm on both sides, if you can say so. The standards are still too high for reverberation and so on, because the standard, according to American research, should be lower when we are talking about children. 0.4, they say, for young children. So I think we still are measuring from, how can I say, the well-being of adults. And we should have more attention to the children, because there we can see warning signals already that the performance or the outcome of exams are getting lower. They are not doing as well in schools as they used to. Thank you.
And what about Eva or someone else?
Not really. I just repeat what other people have said. But the culture of people now wanting noise all the time really does worry me. But just to say, I quite often complain in restaurants, and I'm surprised at the number of times they actually do turn the noise down, turn it off or turn it down. It's as if it hasn't occurred to them, why is it there, you know, is it necessary? And they do sort of respond quite favourably a lot of the time.
But there are also pubs that are raising the noise level the longer in the evening they come, and that's a very conscious action to get people to speak less and drink more. That is for sure.
Yeah, it was a question, is there a need to improve communication ergonomics conditions? A lot of voice disorders, and we have found that communication conditions are not enough good for learning. A lot of voice ergonomic risk factors in school environment we have found, about 50%, at least 30%, depending on the field of the risk. To save money or get more with the same amount of money when performance of teachers and learning results get better. And it's really possible to eliminate the risk factors in the environment. How to improve? It needs multidirectional approach, scientific work to produce knowledge, information to all who are responsible, should know, schooling, teachers, education, for example, multi-professional co-working, responsibility fields of expertise, communication ergonomic standards, which means good criteria for good ergonomic conditions, and laws need to enhance control and possibly sanction if not followed.
Okay, thank you very much. Eva had been thinking a lot of these questions, and we all have actually beforehand. If you go to the next one, that is a question about studies, science, what we do already know, and what information or knowledge is lacking. And I think all the presenters this morning dealt with that. So if we would pick something each, what would be the most important to focus on, research-wise? Lena?
Good question. I think that we have enough information to give our politicians and educational persons that we need the changes, and this everyday experience, as you all taught, is enough evidence. But of course I know that sometimes these authorities, they need results. Maybe we still have to show that when we take the risk factors, lower the risk factors, that this kind of intervention, it affects, it changes the situation. Pupils feel better in their classrooms, and they improve their reading skills, and teachers feel easy and are not stressful anymore, feel not stressed anymore. Maybe that, but that is very time-consuming result. All results, they take many years that they can be reported. Well, it is a fast work.
Eva?
If I want to underline one thing, we know that noise has adverse effects on children and on teachers. That we know.
And what in research would be the most important to focus on if you pick one thing in the future?
Well, as I said in the UK, we've got very, very little research on voice, and there's now been quite a wide body of research, both in the UK and elsewhere, about the effects of noise on children, as well as the stuff that we've done. There's been a lot of work done on the effects of aircraft noise. There's been a lot of work done over the last sort of 12, 15 years on schools around Heathrow and the sort of detrimental impact on those of aircraft noise. So I think that sort of body of work is, as you know, there's not a lot further you can go with it. You know, it's not going to add an awful lot to the knowledge. But as I said, in terms of voice and teachers' health, and the thing that I'd really like to see, having picked up on just that one sort of graph I showed yesterday and today, the effects of the incidence of hearing impairment among teachers, that's something that I'd like to look at, and I don't know, it's possible that Nick might be able to sort of add a little bit into his project looking at that aspect, but I think that would be really interesting. But something that occurred to me, it's a bit like I think Nick was saying over lunch, it took a very, very long time for people to realise that noise had an impact on hearing, that people went deaf as a result of noise. And that, you know, it took about 50 years before that was actually sort of recognised and incorporated into legislation. And now it's, you know, it's very widespread. The legislation is quite good for adults, and it's not for children. So I suspect sort of the voice thing, it's going to be the same. It's going to take a long, long time, as you said. But something that did occur to me is I know the World Health Organization are currently revising their community noise guidelines, and I know you have people, Sweden have people on, I don't know if Birgitta Berglund is still involved, but anyway, you have quite a good representation, don't you, on the noise committee. So it occurs to me that that's something that should maybe be raised with the WHO, because what happens is the WHO has these sort of blanket guidelines, but then every country refers to them, and I mean, some of them I don't actually agree with or I question, but it does provide, it sort of highlights the seriousness of problems and the seriousness of problems caused by noise, and gives people a sort of reference point. So that's something that, you know, I mean, maybe there could be a report of this conference sent to the noise team at the WHO, something which might be useful.
Yeah.
Well, I have very little to add. I agree, but I want to see more research on combine the ability of children to hear and what it may cost the voice. So I would like to see more research on the impact of the effects of noise on children's ability to learn. I think we have data enough about the voice, but people know so little about voice, so therefore we have to have very hard evidence, if we can say so, to have people to understand that there must be some protection for voice. But my meaning is that if we help the voice, we help the hearing, and if we help those, we help the circumstances. So these three things are, yes, issues are combined.
Yes, like Valdís, I don't have much to add, but I think what we need to do now, us, the engineers and designers, is to have more emphasis on following up our design, so just to be sure that the construction is as planned. It's one thing to design a good school, and then there's another thing to construct it like it was designed. I think that's a very important factor. Other thing, I think our topic could be communication. Like here we have experts in different fields, and we have to combine the knowledge into building better schools. Just like Valdís said earlier, that reverberation time 0.4 is best for young children. And that's true. And our new standard has minimum requirement 0.5 for the youngest one. and they recommend 0.4. But for older children, longer reverberation time is better if there is a lecture involved, but not if it's open planned. So that talking, like in this room, if the reverberation time would be 0.4 and I didn't have a mic, that would be very hard for my voice.
Yes.
But having longer reverberation time can be good for the voice if the listeners are quiet. So it depends on that. Also, I don't know if there's anyone here from authorities yet, or I think we have to communicate also about the importance of this, just to be heard and so something happens. Thank you.
I think my main thought in terms of the research is that really the research needs to be a cohesive approach involving all the different disciplines that are involved, because I think the solution to improving what goes on in schools is going to be a result of speech therapy, of pedagogy, of acoustics, and it's rather than just treating it in isolated subject areas, it needs to be a cohesive approach, which perhaps the research has been carried out in separate divisions, but it's really a combined approach that will get the solutions, I think.
And now?
May I just add one? I would like to see what I saw on one of Bridget's slides, measurements made from the children's shoulders, not from the adults. We are seeing numbers from such measurements, and we know that the children are maybe closer to the sound resource than the adults, so they may be having much more noise in their ears than the adults.
Just a PS to that, ours were done at seated height of whatever the appropriate age it was.
We have one from the audience who wanted to comment or have a question. Yes. Get some physical exercise, that's good.
And since I'm a woman, I'm going to stand up to be sure that you can hear me, because I have a very low voice. Coming from the Teachers Union and being a public health specialist, I have to add to this list of what studies or what do we need to do more in the field of studies. I think we need to be able to do studies that show the economic cost of not dealing with noise. Because then we get the employers, and the politicians and the government listening.
Thank you very much. It's a very important point. And I was thinking of what I would like to see is more intervention studies, and that is also what maybe could combine with your thoughts to find, to see what happened also if you change something and what do you gain then. So I think we should go to the next question, and that is a big question. Eva, could you?
What is the next?
The next question is about information, schooling, education, to whom and to how. And to whom and how? That was it. Who should be responsible for bringing about improvements? Yeah. So this is, of course, a very complex question, and I'm not sure how we should start to answer that. But who should be responsible for bringing about improvements? Is it the employer, employee, state, health authorities, regional authorities, or so? So, who wants to start? No? What do you think? I think this is a difficult question. Valdis, do you want to comment on it? I think maybe you put it on the discussion.
I have been fighting for years to have teachers training students to have lessons in voice and voice health. I have also been trying to persuade the teachers union to do something. So my argument is that we need more knowledge about voice. People know too little about voice. So therefore, they don't ask for anything. And I have just seen the top of the iceberg. Few teachers coming to me. I know they are just the top of it. So I think we have, and the bodies, the official authorities, to see the need for this. I have been working at the ground level, and sometimes I feel I am in a desert, screaming there. So, yes, what we have to do is to educate people, and not starting with the adults, we have to start with the children. Because I have been looking through school material, and the only sentence I can find is the vocal folds are 2 plica vocalis, and when they close, they vibrate, and because of the air coming through them, and they create sound. That is all the knowledge you have, professional voice users. So we need all of this. And we have to educate the public, we have to have propaganda. Like this conference, I hope, will be a part of. So this is a start. That's my opinion. They all agree with me.
Okay. So maybe we should, do you want to comment on that, Eva? Or should we move on to the next?
No.
We move on. So the next one is about standards and laws. And Eva Sala has already talked about this. Do we need laws or do we need standards? And I think there are a little bit different opinions in this group here. Do you want to start, Eva? Because you have been thinking of this a lot, I know.
Yeah. I think that first of all, we need a standard process, and during that process, I suppose we find out if there is something we should add to a law. And I don't know how is this legislation in different countries. There is a big difference. Mm-hmm. So it would be a quite big job to see how it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, as I said yesterday, the reason we introduced legislation that our standard went from being a standard to being law was because nobody took any notice of the standard. And we'd had standards governing the design of school buildings for many, many years. And the Department of Education realised that we were still getting very poor quality school buildings, and that's when they decided to make the acoustic side of it, to make it law. And as I said, it does seem to have worked. And the other thing is that I think when the legislation was introduced, which was 2003, the idea was it would be revised after 5 years. And as you've seen, it's taken nearly 10 years. We did start the process after 5 years, but then for various reasons it's taken a much longer time. And maybe it doesn't matter, I know we're sort of talking about reverberation time and things, and it's important to get it as right as you can, but maybe it doesn't matter if it's not quite right, because there will be an opportunity to revise, and by the time it's revised, people will have experience of using it, and there'll be more evidence as to whether or not the figures that are in the legislation are right or not. And you get an opportunity to lower the reverberation time or whatever you want to do. One instance in ours is that we saw this morning how Iceland has the reverberation time in the law. It's the maximum reverberation time across the frequency spectrum, which I think is a very sensible idea. We have the average of the mid-frequencies, so we don't go the whole way across, so that does still allow for high levels at low frequencies, so a lot of sort of boom, which isn't good. But in the revision, it only applies to rooms for hearing impaired children, but we've reduced it to right across the frequency range. So that's one slight improvement, and again, I think it's a slow process. It's drip, 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 and every revision you can change it and improve it, and hopefully eventually you'll actually get there and have something that does work.
My opinion is that we need both standards and laws, because voice science as such is rather young science. So we are actually making the path, and we need it. If we need more research for that, I don't know, but we have already pretty much data. But authorities, they always need numbers and statistics. So we have to have something to refer to.
I'm not so familiar with the difference between these legislation standards and laws. I think it's just the most important that we do as recommended. And I think maybe that's better if it's in the laws. We just have to have understanding that this is important. There is no doubt about when there is some fire design involved or structural design. The houses can't break down if there's an earthquake or if there's a fire. That's very important. And now it's clear that the acoustics and noise is also important.
I'd agree with that, putting my hat on as an acoustic consultant, that if things are in law, then it means I don't have to fight my case. It's there it has to happen. So I think if you really want it to happen, law is what will get you results. If it's guidance only, individuals who it's important to, schools that might have had previous experience of problems, it will become an important thing for them if they have a new building. But a lot of people might not be on their radar, and if it's not in law, then it might not be complied with.
And I personally, of course, think it's important with law, but I am very much pro these standards, and I think we need to try to put something together. But meanwhile, I think everyone should read their Work Environment Act. How many of you have read the work environment law in your countries? About half. And I think, isn't it interesting? And you can actually see a lot of things missing, but there are also very much information there that you can use. So I have, from a perspective that I think we should be very pragmatic on this. If from my side, if I have a patient, to try to really discuss, and because people are often ignorant, and if they get data results, you can very often discuss this and solve problems. So don't forget that we are communicating persons. Yes. Excuse me. So this is because of the video.
Yes, sorry.
Thing.
This is a question for Ólafur. I was just wondering if you were to check out the buildings that have actually been built according to this new building regulations, and if you find out they do not apply with this building regulation, I mean, what happens then? I mean, of course you would probably recommend something to be changed, but I mean, if nothing changes, what are the consequences?
Mm-hmm.
Can you repeat?
Repeat again the question.
Já, og ég tala íslensku kannski.
Okay.
Hérna, ef þú ferð svo í eftirlit, ef ferð að tjekka á byggingunum sem þú er búin að aðstoða við hönnunina, svo er byggingin risinn og tekið til starfa þarna eitthvað skólastarf, ef það kemur ljós að þetta er bara alls ekkert í samræmi við reglugerðina, og hérna, hvað gerist þá? Ég væntanlega þá kannski mælur með einhverjum aðgerðum, en ef þið breyti ekki neinu, hvað gerist svo næst í sambandi við til dæmis hérna viðurlög? Ég meina, hvað gerist fyrir þetta í eitthvað stjórnsýsluferli, eða hvað gerist?
Can you answer in English?
Us, the designers, we have some guarantee. We must follow up. If the design is not good enough, then it's our responsibility. So if there's something wrong with the building after it has been built, then it's just looked into. What went wrong? Was it the design? Was it the construction? Or something else, the materials used or what? So if there's something wrong, then it's just investigated. What went wrong? And if it was the construction, and then it's the constructor who must fix it. If it was the design, we must redesign it at our cost and be responsible for that. So, but if there's no check afterwards, then no one knows. So there's always some time of guarantee after a building is built. So that it's important that all comments come quickly after it's built.
Okay, maybe there are other questions and comments from the audience.
How long time has it to pass before they do the final inspection of the building?
This guarantee time is, I think, 5 years. But I think it's very good. Just the sooner it happens, the better.
Because we have a 12-year-old building, and the final inspection was this week.
Sometimes when they finished some building and the people, the users are let in, there's maybe some construction still in the garden or some other buildings or such. It's very good to have comments while the constructor is still on the working place. Then the things happened fast. But if the constructor is maybe busy in Greenland or something, when the comments come, then you could perhaps need to wait a bit. But 12 years, that's amazing.
Excuse me. Okay, we proceed. And one question is how to encourage young experts to work in the field of communication economics. Who are the new experts and what expertise do they represent? Does anyone in the panel want to start? We are very happy here we have seen one new expert in this field from your background and going into voice and acoustics. And you also. But do you want to comment on this?
I shall comment on that all. You see, my opinion is that there is such a lack of knowledge. And what we have to do is to make people interested. Like this group now is more interested, I hope, and more understanding about voice and voice use. So, for example, when it comes to my profession as a speech and language therapist, I would like to see them be interested in voice ergonomics, not only voice pathology, but we have to urge people to pay attention to this, because this is a very special field. We are talking about communication, and then we are talking about the voice, and we are talking about the ability to hear. So what we have to do with propaganda, we have to awake this interest in all these, not only one, all these.
I see that Eva has put up a slide. You have been thinking of this. Do you want to add something before, Bridget?
I should just read the slide.
Yes.
I was just going to say, we, in the Institute of Acoustics, we've got a speech and hearing group, which in fact my former PhD student who did the work on open plan classrooms took us over as chair of that group probably about 3 or 4 years ago, and that's become quite active, and I know they've got quite a lot of young people interested in that. And as a result of this weekend, I'm thinking I'll go back and suggest to her that they organise a conference and maybe sort of involve teachers, put something on which is an interdisciplinary thing. don't know, because the other problem we have is that the Institute has been making a loss on a lot of meetings recently, so might not be possible to do. But I will suggest it and see if we can do anything.
Before I give the microphone to Eva, I was also thinking of this through this kind of conferences, you can really focus on something that can be interesting for other people. And there is one conference I think maybe is a very important one, and that is the World Voice Day, which is held every year, April 16th. So that could be, if you talk about how to increase knowledge, that is one day that we should all work to in our own way, give information about voice. And I can come back to that later. And then Eva.
To get young within this voice ergonomic work, I think you should take them to your working groups and scientific groups, and then the young ones need grants for research.
Yep. Yes, and I think we move on to one of the last questions. And that is, what are the goals in the next 5 years for bringing about improvements in conditions for hearing and the voice? So here you can think about something that you would like to see in 5 years. And that could be at your workplace, that could be in the research. So think about that just for 1 minute or so, for your own. What would you like to see in this area in 5 years? And for us also to think about. And that can be a goal to work for. Is there anything you would like to see in 5 years? You have recently started this, but...
From my point of view, it'd be nice to have some guidance for designers of schools to at least give you some framework of ways you can approach school design to assist teachers' voices. At the moment, the feeling is that it should be considered, but there's no firm guidance really at the moment. But that's what I'd like, some practical solutions really, or assistance.
Yes, I agree. Guidelines would be a good use, especially to identify the problems. I have sometimes been in places where there has been acoustical problems, and someone has contacted a salesperson, and the salesperson has sold some solution, but the solution isn't really the right solution for this problem. So it should be made with caution, but I think guideline for identifying problems would be very good. I think we need also a bit now to concentrate on students and people with special needs. All new requirements are made with normal hearing in mind, but I think there should be some comment or something for children with special needs.
Yep.
I would like to see the authorities start working on this.
What did you say?
The authorities.
Okay, yeah.
I would like them to take, like we say in Icelandic, the ball and play on. We can do more research here in Iceland, but what I want us to do here is to influence more or have more information to people that there is need for changes, that we can't accept this noise and we have to do something about it. One person like me can't do it. I can try to make people aware of the problems, but when it is so now, today, that they are using this very simple solution, ear protection in lessons, there is something terribly wrong. And that's, I think it's authority that can change that with whatsoever, being more aware of.
Richard? Next 5 years, wish?
Well, the next 2 months.
Next 2 months, okay.
Because, you know, I said the guidance that accompanies our legislation is being rewritten, and it has actually got a chapter on the design of rooms for speech. And I'm on the committee that's sort of doing this, and it has to be published next January, or that's when the Department for Education wants it. Whether it'll be ready by then, I don't know. But it occurs to me, there isn't anything in here. I mean, it talks about male and female voices and how to support the voice and things, but it doesn't actually say anywhere about the damage that's done and the incidence of voice problems and things. And it occurs to me that would be something worth putting in to sort of highlight the importance. So that's something that I can maybe have some influence on, but I say in the next couple of years, and then in the next couple of months, and then in 5 years' time, we'll see whether anything's changed in the design of schools.
Okay, maybe Lena. You have been quiet the last few minutes.
After 5 years, every teacher students have had courses of voice, and they understand really how important is good working environment. And of course, in that education has been those who will be next future head teachers. So the knowledge is all over this staff. And they really have changed issues, and they are very creative people, as I know all people who are in education area, they are. And they find their own solutions, and pupils are they like very much of these all kind of exercises what they make with their teachers and that deal with the voice. And when we come to visit the schools, we are so surprised. So silent, and we are so stunned. What have you done? We have just made as you told us.
Okay, and Eva?
I would like to see more cooperation between scientists, so that the science topics and the results could be applied in practice.
Mm-hmm. And I was thinking from my point of view that I would be very happy if, just a very practical thing, if I could get referrals from the ENT or laryngologists for a voice assessment, for a voice ergonomic assessment. So it is in the referral that this needs to be done. And it has started to be done by some of the phoniatricians, laryngologists in Sweden, that they have teachers or preschool teachers that have voice problems, and they ask not only for therapy, they ask for voice ergonomics assessment. And I think that's one thing that I will work on to get that more, because then we'll be more accepted or obvious in our work. So now, is there anyone in the public that wants to share what they were thinking in 5 years?
I think maybe we and maybe all countries can make like a brochure or something to help the community awareness of what noise, how the noise influences our young ones and their teachers. We can do that.
I think we should start to see what's already there, because I think there are a lot of information brochures about noise in society, and very often we think that, oh, there's... But to start to look what's already there. And we have to find them. Yes, okay, good idea. And? Yes, thank you.
And just to follow up on what she said, because it was discussed here yesterday, if the slides and the information from the lectures are supposed to be given to those who have been here, I have a plea. Please, because this is a huge amount of information that we, for example, the Teachers Union and those who are going to carry on with this project, can use in our arguments and in everything we like to publish or continue to discuss. This is quality information for us to use in our arguments. So if you are available, you can give this to at least those who were here yesterday and today, it would be great.
Yes, I think Valdis already planned this. I will give you. But I have a question to you. We are cooperating within our Nordic countries. Do you, as union members, do you cooperate over because there must be a lot of information that you could share?
The teachers' union have an informal cooperation within the Nordic countries, which is called the Nordic Association concerning the work environment. So we have an informal cooperation. We meet once a year, but on the other hand, we also have everything concerning the work environment involved. So we haven't discussed this yet in great depth.
Because the Swedish Union for Teachers have, for example, one very nice brochure about voice protection, and I know that the English has a lot as well. So Valdis, do you want to continue with the information about all the slides and so on?
We are working on this. This conference has been videotaped already. What we need is that all the lecturers, they give their permission for this to be published in this way. And we are working on that. So we have to have the permission, of course, to hand it over to you. But that is my wish, because that is how we work on this.
Just to add a bit on, I think I speak for all of us when we are always glad when someone calls us or sends us emails to help in this. So presentation is one thing, but having some more people on our meeting consultants, I think it can be a good idea.
Do you have one more question or comment?
Yeah, we just wanted to talk about the next 5 years, our dream vision of the Ombudsman for Children. Her slides will be available on Monday at the website barn.is, barn.is. In her slides, she had this, the Ombudsman wants. That's really our dream vision for the next 5 years. And that is, firstly, that parents will be educated and informed about the dangers noise is to hearing and education in general. And that, the general public will be informed how to complain or ask for measurements or whatever. And we also put very great emphasis on the children themselves, that they are asked. This is their workplace and their conditions, and they are their experts in their own lives. So we should ask them and give them, easy ways to complain about their working environments. And, of course, lastly, that the law will be changed so that they will have equal protection, children and adults, in their working environments.
Okay, thank you very much. Someone else from the audience, or should that be the last very important words? Anyone more? Then I think we come to the closing remarks. Or does Eva... yes?
Professional questions. Because I'm worried about the children. I would like to know, Mari, if you or someone here knows about increasing tinnitus in children and increasing hoarseness in children's voices. Also, another, so I can have them both. I was noticing this legislation for schools and reverberation time. Now, for just a few years ago, children started to have their lunch at school. And I didn't see any reverberation time for canteens or whatever they call it. So there's a question to you or anyone else here?
We have got I mean, it is listed in the table of all the school spaces.
Okay.
I can't remember what it is, but do you know what it is offhand, Nick?
I think it's about one, I think. 1 second, perhaps.
You just hang on a minute. But in this recent survey that we've done of secondary schools, canteens came out as being sort of the space most often complained of, and the space most difficult, both in teachers and children's questionnaires, the space that was most difficult to hear in and to speak in. It's dining rooms at 1 second, yeah, so it's quite long. Yes.
We measured the activity noise, and that was the highest in the dining halls. And we have had, our children go to and eat in the school. They have done that for years. According to the hoarseness, Valdis, I don't know. We had a big 2 doctorate projects going on in the mid-90s about hoarseness in children, and but I don't know. And there was quite a lot of hoarseness, and that was related to children who worked were at long times in the daycares and stayed in the schools long time during the days, and it was higher in the children who were at the city preschools as compared to the countryside. But I don't know of anyone that has followed that up, so I don't know if it has increased since then. So now I think Eva or Valdis, you are standing there, or that is for the closing remarks?
When it comes to me.
Okay, so Eva, so first we would like to ask Eva to just summarize and conclude a little bit from this discussion.
Yeah. Briefly, it needs multi-professional professional work and collaboration, and if there is willingness and motivation to cooperate, and we have found that yes, there are a lot. We have been talking much about the side effects of noise or detrimental effects of noise on voice and hearing, but there are a lot of more detrimental effects of noise on man, and they are, for example, learning, memory, sleeping, blood pressure, stress, coronary heart diseases, etc.
Thank you very much, Eva. And before I ask you to close the whole conference, I would like just you to think again something from those 2 days that you personally could bring with you from this. Sometimes it's a lot of information and there's so much to do, so you don't do anything. But there must be a few things that each of you could really bring about and bring with you, and maybe do 1 or 2 minor things to improve. So thank you very much, and Valdis, it's time to close this.
Eva asked for more cooperation amongst science people. We have good experience because this Nordic ergonomic group, there are speech and language therapists like me and Lena and Maria. We have acoustic person like Ólafur, and we have phonitrician Eva Sala. So there is a group that is working together. People are working together with different background. But closing, and we are punctual, I would like to thank you. Can hear me, right? I would like to thank you all for coming here today. And in particular, I should like to single out the speakers, Icelandic and foreign, and the people who helped me to prepare the seminar. They have done a tremendous job. The seminar has been, in my opinion, a worthy memory of Anna Björk. Its theme will hopefully be the start of some big and much needed reforms in teachers' and children's school environment. Hopefully, the audience will have also learned something about what has been called voice ergonomics, and will now support us who have already been working on improvements in this area. With these words, I declare this seminar closed. Have a safe journey home.